Good morning. Good morning. Go ahead, grab a seat, grab a seat. Grab a seat, save some of that for the end. Well, good morning, AT&T. How are you? You know, I always like to know something about the audiences that I speak to. I've spoken all over the world, but I love being here in Huntington Beach, California. And I'm so excited because I know at least one thing about you today, and that is you are winners. Am I right? You are winners. You don't get to come here unless you're a winner. Am I right? Awesome. Well, we've got about 40 minutes here to talk about something that I am extremely passionate about. 31 years ago, I graduated from college. Prior to college, I had a crazy upbringing, and I don't have the time to go into the whole thing, but I'll give you the overview. My dad died when I was 4 years old, and that began a downward spiral in my life. My mom had to sell the house. We lived in a big, beautiful house, but my dad was severely underinsured, so she had to sell the house because she couldn't afford the massive $400 a month mortgage payment. And so I was raised by a single mom, but I began to kind of get angry that my dad had died and sort of my lot in life. And long story short, ended up living in 28 homes, went to 11 different schools, shipped off to live with relatives twice in my life, began drugs in the 6th grade, started betting the horses in the 6th grade. I mean, can you tell I was going in the wrong direction? But somewhere in my senior year, I kind of figured out, you know what? I want success in my life. I don't want this kind of crazy life that I was going down, always in trouble in school. In 10th grade, I got 47 written referrals to the principal's office. That's one every 4 days. That's in triplicate. One to the teacher, one to the principal, one to mom. 47 written referrals. And at some point, I kind of realized that I didn't want this in my life. I wanted what everybody wants. And so I decided that I was going to become successful. And I decided that I was going to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. Now, here's what I've learned studying successful people over the last 31 years. I've understood that everybody wants the same thing. Now, you might say, wait a minute, Chris, that's impossible. But it really is true, and I want to show you by a show of hands. So when I ask you this question, if this is true about you, I want to show you that everybody essentially wants the same things. And then I want to ask a question, then I want to give you some thoughts to think about as we go forth through the rest of the day. So here's the first question to prove that everybody essentially wants the same thing. How many of you would like to have, by a show of hands, how many of you would like to have $1 million in your bank account? Show of hands. Everybody. Everybody, right? How many of you would like to find a person to share your life with and enjoy a great love with, right? Everybody. Yeah, nobody says, oh, I just hope I find somebody horrible and that's my life in misery. How many of you would like to have your children grow up to be productive members of society and have a better life? Everybody. Nobody says, hey, I just hope little Johnny grows up and goes to prison. No, nobody wants that. How many of you would like to live a lifelong, physically vibrant life to a ripe old age? Yep, nobody says, hey, I hope I end up, dying early. Everybody wants the same thing. They want to find love. They want to have financial security. They want to have their children do better than them. And they want to live a long, happy, healthy life, right? Can we agree upon that everybody wants those things? Now, we live in a country, this is fascinating to me, we live in a country where you can do exactly what you want to do. So let's start asking ourselves some questions. Everybody wants the same thing. You can do anything you want to do, and yet some people achieve it and some people don't. But we have to ask ourselves, why is it in this world that some people succeed and other people don't? What are the secrets of successful people? Because you can do whatever you want, and everybody wants the same thing. Anybody here accidentally working for AT&T? Like one day you just walked in, you had a swipe card, you swiped and walked in, you started taking phone calls? We choose where we work, right? Any of you accidentally married, by the way? Here with your accidentals? One guy's like, well, that one night in Vegas, that was a little weird. No, you pick the person, you woo the person, you date the person, you marry the person. You don't just accidentally wake up, wow, there's a ring on my finger, that's weird. Everybody wants the same thing. Anybody can do whatever it is they want. Some people do it, some people don't. So the question is, what's the difference? I want to share with you a few things that I really truly believe is the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. Now, first of all, let me define something. Success. The default answer of what is success is money, right? If I said to you, oh, I know this very successful person, you might think, oh, big fancy car, big fancy house, lots of money in the bank. And financial security is great, and it is a part of success. But when I speak of success, I mean whole life success. I mean financial security, I mean healthy relationships, healthy body, making a difference, an impact in the world. And I know that all of you are saying, yeah, that's what I want. And you're already doing such amazing things. But I want to share with you a few thoughts that I've seen as I've worked with billionaires, successful CEOs, small business owners, athletes over the last 30-something years. And I've noticed that there's something common amongst the people who succeed in life versus those who constantly struggle. And don't we know those people that just constantly struggle? They're just like every post on Facebook is, oh, my life is horrible. And you're just like, how does one person go through so much? The first one is that I believe that successful people choose to be successful. They make a choice. I really honestly believe that wherever we are today is the sum of the choices we've made. I believe that you chose to be here because just like that one gentleman said on the video, he chooses to look at every single phone call and make that something, right? Everything, what we weigh, what our health is, the state of our marriage, the amount of money that we have, every single thing we have is because we've chosen. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, no, I don't like that. A lot of people don't like that. They don't like taking responsibility for things. Unsuccessful people don't like taking responsibility for things. They're always a victim. They always say it's somebody else's fault. But think about this with me for a moment. I bet a lot of you already get this. If we make choices, let's say this is literally our lives. If we make choices, right? I'm choosing to step here, and then I'm choosing to step here, and then I'm choosing to step here. And where do I end up? I end up right here. If it's true that the sum of my choices equals where I'm at today, yes, it takes a lot of responsibility, but the powerful thing about that, if you don't like where you're at in any area of your life, the powerful thing about accepting responsibility, which is what successful people do, if it's true that the sum of my choices brought me here and I want to go somewhere else, then it's also true that wherever I want to go is just going to be the sum of any choice I make after this. If you don't like where your marriage is, change it. If you don't like where your health is, change it. If you don't like where your money is, change it. And that's the beauty of successful people. And I actually was thinking about this talk, and I was thinking, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, because you're already knowing these. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know these things. But I want to challenge you to take your success that you've already had, and I want you to take it even further. I want you to take that great life that you already have and make it an amazing life. To walk away from this award trip that you've gotten and say, man, I've done this. And the young lady that was here, 2 years she's been working here. She's already on the stage. She's already receiving awards. What can happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Where can you go with the kind of attitude that says, I choose my destiny. I choose where I go. That's an amazing principle when you think about it. The second thing that I've found out about successful people is that successful people are optimists. They're optimists. They believe that the world is going to get better. They believe that their job's going to get better. They believe that their relationships are going to get better. Because think about this with me for a moment, if you would. If you think that things are going to get worse, are you actually going to end up wanting to go there? No. The people who go to successful things, they see it in their mind before they ever see it in their life. You know, people say, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. You know what successful people say? I'll see it when I believe it. Once I believe it, you know, when I get it into my mind and I see it first, then I believe it because it becomes a reality, because you know that you can actually get there. So the platform where you've gotten today with the success that you've had with AT&T is just the beginning. And I know I've already met a few of you, and you're bright and you're vibrant and you've got great attitudes, and it's infectious to be around people who want to be like that and want to succeed and want to achieve. See, optimism, think about it. Let's break that word down. Optimism. The root of optimism is opt. And what do you do when you opt to do something? You choose. Now, let's also think about opt as the root word of a medical term. What kind of doctor do you go to that might start with opt, O-P-T? Ophthalmologist, optometrist, and what do they work on? They work on your eyes. Here's how I remember what optimism is. Optimism is choosing to see the good in every situation. And optimists are the people who succeed. Pessimists always stay back. Now, I was thinking about this. I know what you guys go through, right? Because I call you sometimes. Now, I've always said, you know, a lot of times cops get a bad rap. I love cops. I think they do a great job. We need police. But I was thinking about this. I've always said, you know, cops can become a little bitter and angry over the years. And the reason why is no one ever calls 911 and just says, hey, man, the street's going well. Nothing, no problems here. Thanks for being on patrol. And I started thinking about this when I got asked to come and speak here. Same thing is true with you. Hello, AT&T customer service. How can I help you? Yeah, hey, just want to let you know the internet's working great. So your internet's not working? No, it's working great. It's fantastic. So you calling about your phone? No, I'm calling you on my phone. It works perfect. Calling about DirecTV? TV out? Nope, watching a show right now. Just hit the pause button to call you and let you know my internet and my phone are working great. How many ever, I actually thought it would be funny, maybe I'll rig it up for Sunday. I thought it would be funny to actually call one of your AT&T customer service agents here and just listen to it. Hey, we're calling you and letting you know that everything's just perfect. What do you think they'd say? They'd look for like cameras. Am I being pranked? Is this going up on YouTube? So the fact is, man, all day long dealing with problems, nobody calls you to tell you how great things are. But you're here. You're here because you've done an amazing job, and I believe that it's the reason why is because you can do like that gentleman said. I can take every single call, and I don't let it get to me. I don't get down. I don't, get as amped up as they are. My phone doesn't work. Well, what do you want me to do about it? That's what unsuccessful people, they get all amped up as the other person gets amped up. Pretty soon you're screaming, they want your supervisor. Those people aren't here. You're here. Now, the number one way that I've found that people can tell if you're an optimist or not, and I do this a lot in my speeches. I'm going to hold the mirror up. I want you to look at yourself. When I talk about these things, I'm going to hold the mirror up and say, just look at yourself for a minute. The number one way that people can tell whether you are an optimist or not is how you speak. Because it's the first thing we hear, right? You walk in and you start listening to somebody talk, and pretty soon you realize this person, they're kind of fun. I like them. They're an optimist. You know, we all know those Debbie Downers, right? Like no matter what's happening. But have you ever just listened to yourself talk? I want you to listen to yourself talk for the next couple weeks and ask yourself one simple question. Would I want to hang around with me? There's an old proverb, and the proverb says that the tongue has the power of life and death. The tongue is the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit, that proverb says. And the fact is that what we say can affect people. You ever notice those people you come up, and I'm talking about at very deep levels, deep conversations, whatever, but I'm talking about just very surface levels as well. You ever walk up to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? And they say, pretty good under the circumstances. And you're like, nobody wants to be with you if you're under the circumstances. Nobody ever says, you're under the circumstances? Can I come in under there with you? No. They're looking for people who are over the circumstances, through the circumstances, around the circumstances. They don't want somebody who's under the circumstances. We all know these people, though, right? That's literally how they sound. Doesn't matter what they're saying. I got a buddy, a very successful guy. First time I ever met him, a friend of mine took me to go talk to him about doing some business. We pulled up to his $9 million house in Mercer Island, Washington, waterfront, 300-foot of waterfront. I'd never met the guy before. We went in, we had a little business meeting, we talked about doing some stuff together. He hands me his business card. He says, call me in a couple days. Let me think about it. Call me in a couple days. That's my cell phone number on the card. I said, okay, cool. So I call him up a couple days later, and what I'm about to tell you, not embellished in the least. This is literally how the phone call went. He answered the phone. Hello, this is Dave. I said, hey, Dave, it's Chris Widener. How you doing? And I kid you not, he says, man, Chris, if I was any better, I'd have to be twins, and if I was somebody else, I'd be jealous of myself. And And I looked at the phone. I literally pulled my phone out. I thought to myself, well, that works for you. And then I thought, it must. He lives in a $9 million house. So I started thinking about that. Now, somewhere between, if I was any better, I'd have to be twins, and another day, another dollar. Somewhere between those two, you have to figure out yourself. I'm not asking you to be a motivational speaker. I'm not asking you to bring hot coals to work and have everybody run across them and prove how optimistic they are. But somewhere along the line, you got to figure out, how can you project the best you? How can you project the best you? Now, I know that we have some introverts. Where are my introverts? They're the ones that are like this. If you were to come into the office next week and be like, whoa, I went to the AT&T Summit. I am so fired up. We're going to have an amazing week this week. People will be like, what happened to Susie? She's on crack, I think. Now, some of you are real gregarious. Where are my extroverts? Where are you? They always go, woo! That's always what they do. If you walked in and do that, they'd be like, John's back in the office. That's totally cool, whatever works for you. But ask yourself, how do you project? Zig Ziglar, who was a mentor of mine, I had a TV show with him, probably the greatest motivational speaker of all time. He said, there's some people that just brighten a room when they walk in. You ever meet those people? They just walk in, John's here, oh, hey, that's so awesome, and the whole mood changes. Well, it's true. There are a lot of people who brighten the room when they walk in. There's a lot of people brighten the room when they walk out. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo, man, she is gone. Partay. And that's the fact. You want to be the guy that brightens the room when you walk in, not the guy that brightens the room when you walk out. I want to give you an example of how this works in marriage. How many people are married here today? A lot of people married. If you're sitting next to your wife, guys, this is a time that you go, woo, There you go. All right, guys, I'm going to speak to you. The tongue has the power of life and death. Do you know that you can literally change a person's internal physiology? You can make their brain produce chemicals without their permission. You can do this in work. You can do this in home. Wherever you go, you say a word. A word is an amazing thing if you think about it. To be able to speak positive is an amazing, powerful thing. Think about this, guys. You come home one day. You're off work. Your wife's at home before you. She's gone to the hairstylist that day. You put your stuff down. You see your wife, and you go, what happened to your hair? Now, she's not going to say, my husband has just insulted me. It is time to release the angry chemicals. It just happens. But I know you're smarter than that. But think about what happens if you do the reverse. You walk in and you say, wow, you look amazing. She's going to be all, oh, yes, I did. I got my hair done. I got my nails done. I got my toes done. Guys, this is not where you followed up with, how much did that cost us? Because that is a deal killer right there. Deal killer. You'd be sleeping on the couch. Now, the same is true, ladies. I know I've worked with a lot of ladies over the years, and I know that sometimes ladies are like, my husband works too late, and he's never home for dinner with me and the kids, and I just wish, and pretty soon you sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Rah, rah, rah. Let me tell you, you can change your husband with your words. I honestly, if I believe anything to be true, I believe that women can change their husbands with their words. I'll give you a way to get him home for dinner. 4 o'clock, 4:30, something like that. Call him up, he answers work. Yeah, Mr. Dave. Hey, Dave. You better get home or you're going to miss it. Dave's like grabbing his jacket. I got to go, boss. I'm out of here. Now, when he gets home and he throws open that door, I want you to be on the other side of the door. You can wear whatever you want to wear to whatever degree you want to wear it. But when he comes home and he opens that door, I want you to say, welcome home, you red hot hunk of burning love. Now, what's your husband going to do? Well, the first thing your husband will do is he's going to check and make sure you got the right address. He's going to come in and go, me? That's when you say, that's right, Tiger. Guess who's coming home for dinner tomorrow night early? No, but the reality is true. Whether we're speaking positive to our wives, speaking positive to our husbands, speaking positive to our coworkers, I wouldn't suggest that you welcome one of your coworkers to the office with, welcome to work, you red hot hunk of burning love. probably crosses the line in today's day and age. So I wouldn't suggest that. But the fact is that when we speak life into other people, people feel good. When we praise people for a job well done, people feel good. We all love recognition. We all love knowing that we make a difference. We all love knowing that we matter, which brings me to the next one. So successful people understand the power of choice. Successful people understand the power of optimism. And successful people understand the power of service and connecting with and serving the people they work with. Considering other people's interests more important than your own is one of the most dynamic principles of success in leadership. Now, I know what we all think. Well, yeah, but what about that person who stepped on everybody to get to the top? Yeah, those people happen. That happens from time to time. There are people like that in this world. But for the vast majority of people, the way people become successful is by serving other people. You know, Zig Ziglar used to say that you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want out of life. If you're running a sandwich shop and you make a decent sandwich, you might get 500 people a day come through there and order a sandwich because you're serving people to an okay level, serving sandwiches. But if you come up with an amazing sandwich, you serve enough other people, you say, hey, I'm going to give you what you really want. Now you have 1,000 people coming through the doors. Because you're considering their interests. What is it that they want? Don't you hate it when you get on the phone with somebody or even in a retail place where you're in there and it just feels like all they're trying to do is protect themselves? All they're trying to do is protect the company and you're just saying, hey, I'm your customer. I'm spending good money with you. I want you to consider my interests. I want you to step into my shoes and see what it is that I'm looking for. The fact is that when we start thinking about the customer, they respond. They change. They become loyal customers because they don't think, oh, AT&T's just out for themselves. That person that I talked to on the phone, all they wanted to do was cover their own butts. No, they were thinking about me. They wanted to do something for me. They wanted to make sure that my problem was solved. And when you do that, you succeed. I'll tell you a funny story about my daughter, Hannah. When my daughter was 14 years old, she got a job as a barista. Anybody here from Seattle, by the way? Again, all the people who are from Seattle and Phoenix, the two places I've lived, nobody's there. We lived in Seattle growing up. I live in Scottsdale now. But my daughter, Hannah, got a job as a barista in a little coffee shop, not a Starbucks, a little coffee shop. She was 14 years old, and she was making whatever minimum wage was at the time, $8.50 or something like that. And so she starts coming home, and the first week or so, she's bringing home $25 a day in tips. Not bad money for a 14-year-old. Work 5 or 6 hours, that's $40, $50, and then, another $25. Pretty decent money. 4 weeks into it, Hannah, who's 14 years old, she's bringing home $50 a day in cash. 6 weeks into her job, she starts bringing home every single day $75 a day in tips. She looked like Tony Montana from Scarface. Speaking with a Latino accent, hey, say hello to my little friend, And I was just like, so I call her into my office. And I'm like, Hannah, how do I put this, Hannah? You're just selling coffee up there, right? And my daughter, Hannah, she says, oh yeah, Dad, I finally figured people out. And I said, well, it took you 14 years. That's a little slow, but glad you finally figured people out. Okay, Dalai Lama, what's the secret to life? She said, Dad, you know what I figured out about people? I said, what's that? She said, people like to talk about themselves. I still didn't equate how she was tripling her income. And so I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, I used to just take their order and I'd ignore them. I'd just leave them there. And I'd make their coffee and let them do their thing. She said, now all I do the entire time is ask them questions. I just get them talking about themselves. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, I'll see somebody come in 2 or 3 times, and then I'll say, you must work around here. You come in here all the time. Yeah, I do. Where do you work? How long you work there? What kind of career or path did you take to get there? Did you have to go to college for it? What kind of degree did you have to get? What do you do on a daily basis? What kinds of products do you produce or services do you provide? I see you're wearing a wedding ring. What does your wife do? Where do you guys live? You live around here? You got little kids? Oh, little Johnny, little Susie. How's little Susie's t-ball game? How's little Johnny's soccer game? And she says, Dad, now, it used to be that I would, when I didn't talk to them, they'd give me their money, I'd give them the change, and some of it went in the tip jar. But now, Dad, when all I do is ask them questions and get them talking about themselves, now they give me the money, I give them the change, and all the change goes in the tip jar. Now, in a way, that's kind of sick. Here's a 14-year-old girl just learned how to manipulate 45-year-old men for money. Oh, yeah, refrigeration design. Tell me all about it. But folks, there is a deep spiritual truth there that works in business and in life. People want to connect. They want to know they matter. At a deep subconscious level, here's a 45-year-old guy, probably successful, 45-year-old woman, probably successful, coming in to get the cup of coffee, and at a subconscious level, a 14-year-old gave them the chance to talk about themselves, and subconsciously, they tripled the amount of money they were giving for a tip. What does that mean for us in our business? It means that you can connect with people. And it's going to make them feel better. And when they feel better, they feel like they've gotten better customer service. When your spouse feels like they've been listened to, they feel better about your marriage. When your children feel like you care more about them than you do about work. And every single time that we do that with people, it creates this sense, right? And so what we do is we connect with people. They say, we're the most connected group of people in the history of the world. Not true at all. We're the most communicative group of people in the history of the world. But I actually believe that sometimes we may be less connected now, truly connected at a human level than ever before. And what happens when we break through and we begin just to listen to people? Now, I'm not suggesting we go into work and we hold hands and rock back and forth and listen to, music together or whatever. But I am saying, what would happen if we took that extra moment with our coworkers, with our children, with our spouse, with the people on the phone to really make sure that they've been heard? It creates a sense at a conscious level and a subconscious level that they've been heard and listened to, which creates connection and it creates loyalty. And I found that the most successful people over the years are people who serve other people. Now, the last one. So the first one was they understand the power of choice. Second one was they understand the power of optimism. The third one is they understand the power of service. And the last one is they understand the power of excellence. They understand the power of personal standards of excellence. When we look at ourselves, and there's a whole bunch of different areas of life. There's financial, there's intellectual, there's emotional, there's business, there's relational. All these different areas of life, what would happen if you began to rate yourself in every single one of those areas? Because excellence is attractive. If you want to move forward in life, you want to move forward in relationships, you want to move forward in business, you want to move forward in AT&T, the number one thing that will get you there is excellence. To excel in every single area of your life. What would happen if you said, okay, how am I intellectually? All right, I'm a 7. How am I physically? I'm an 8. How am I emotionally? I'm a 9. What would happen if all of a sudden you said, okay, now in the next year, I want to improve those? So here's what I found about most people. Most people pick one area of life to excel in and then to the detriment of other areas. So for example, you might have somebody who's really physically fit. I mean, just totally ripped out and they're total great shape, but dumber than a box of rocks. You ever met those people? Or you might meet somebody who's really, really intellectual, smartest guy in the room every time he walks into a room, but really unhealthy, grossly overweight. He's chosen the intellectual to excel in to the detriment of his body. You might somebody really spiritual. They just love people and they're so kind. Brokered in a joke, right? No money whatsoever. Now, is it great to excel in one area? But wouldn't it be better? Remember I said that true success is not the overachievement in one area, but the balanced achievement in all areas. What happens if we don't just say it's about money, or it's just about physical fitness, or it's just about this or that or the other thing, but we said, I want to live a well-rounded, successful life where I am healthy, I am in great relationships, I do have financial independence, I have checked these boxes. What happens? Excellence is attractive to people. You know who knows better than anybody that excellence is attractive? Madison Avenue knows that excellence is attractive. They know that if they can connect a product with excellence, that people are going to buy that product. You know, I think the greatest ruse in marketing history in America is Wheaties. Think about Wheaties with me for a moment. I already wrote off that Wheaties is ever going to ask me to speak at their convention because of what we're about to talk about. But think about Wheaties for a minute. Now, it used to be that there were like 4 boxes of cereal. You know, you had Wheaties, Cheerios, Malt-O-Meal, and oatmeal, right? Now they have an entire aisle of nothing but cereal. So the market got competitive, and so at some point they got everybody together for Wheaties, and they got them, all the marketing department. They said, okay, we got to come up with a tagline. And the first person said, I know, how about this? Wheaties, put a little milk and honey and some bananas on it, it's okay. And they said, no, that's never going to work. And then in a stroke of brilliance, somebody in the Wheaties room said, I got it. This is perfect. Wheaties. Say it with me. Wheaties. Breakfast of champions. Really? Really? Do you think every 4 years at Olympic Village, a guy gets up, goes down to the cafeteria, well, I'm running the 1,500 meters today, just going to go grab a few bowls of Wheaties. He's going to eat some egg whites, a little bit of protein. He probably carbo-loaded the night before, right? Nobody eats Wheaties the day they're going to go and try and be a champion. But they know that if they stick somebody who is a champion on that, and they say it's the breakfast of champions, they pay them millions of dollars, they slap their mug on the cover, people are going to go, wow, Michael Jordan dunks and he eats Wheaties. Maybe if I eat Wheaties, I could dunk. You're 5'2", 240, you're never going to dunk. You eat too many Wheaties, you'll be 5'2", 250. Then you'll really never dunk. You know, Michael Jordan's a perfect example of how excellence attracts. Michael Jordan makes more money now in retirement than he did in playing basketball because he's considered the greatest basketball player of all time. Now, those of us who are old enough, we know that it's really Wilt Chamberlain. But they consider Michael Jordan the greatest basketball player of all time. That's why they pay him millions of dollars. And you know what? I'm going to prove to you how much that money that they pay him locks into your brain exactly what it is that he sells. Now, I worked as a ball boy for the Seattle Supersonics when I was 11 to 18. They won the World Championship in 1979 when I was 13 years old. And so I know kind of what people wear and what they drink during the games. But let's just for a moment ask ourselves, if Michael Jordan was to go play a pickup game of basketball today, what brand of shoes would he wear? Nike, right? What kind of Nike would he wear? Air Jordans. All that money, and you guys are Nike, Air Jordans. And they know that if you go to a shoe shop, you are going to most likely buy Nikes. There is nothing brain surgery about tennis shoes or basketball shoes. All Reebok, New Balance, Adidas, Converse, they all have billion-dollar research and development to get just the right amount of air and rubber, to get the right amount of spring, which means nothing to most of us. It's not going to matter one bit, but we're more likely to buy it. Now, if he were to get tired and needed a drink, and he came over to the sideline, and somebody were to hand him a drink, what kind of drink do you think he'd drink? Gatorade, right? You just know it. They know that they gave him millions of dollars. Well, if Michael Jordan drinks it, what is Gatorade? Sugar water. But they know that if you walk into a Circle K or 7-Eleven, you open up and you're looking for that genre of drink, you're more likely to buy Gatorade than Powerade or any of the other drinks in that arena. They know because it's attractive. Last question. What's one other thing that Michael Jordan sells? Underpants. Underpants. Now, I asked one time an audience, and I'll ask you the same question. Why would they pay Michael Jordan? Underpants are really not brain surgery. A little bit of cotton, a little bit of elastic, right? That's underpants. Why would they pay him millions of dollars a year to tell you what kind of underwear he wears? I remember I asked this question once, and there was a woman, she was about 75 years old. She was sitting up front, right in the front, and she tilted her head down when I asked that question. She said, because he looks good in them. I said, ma'am, I am not going to tell this audience what you just said, but I will tell every audience after this what you just said. Because it's funny. Not true, but it's funny. I mean, it's true that he looks good in a pair of underpants. That's not why they pay him the $1 million a year. You could go to any college in America and find some 22-year-old guy still got his little six-pack. Suppose the rest of us moved on to a case, half-rack, pony keg, whatever it is we're carrying around, right? You can find a guy with a six-pack. Easy enough to do. They pay him, why? Because he's the greatest basketball player of all time. So what's the lesson here, Chris? The lesson is this. Excellence attracts. People buy the product when it's connected with or demonstrates excellence. What's the takeaway? Look in the mirror. Do you demonstrate excellence in every single area of your life? Because here's the secret. You are the product. You're the product. When people are considering for advancement, when people are considering for promotion, when people are considering for raises, they're looking at the person and they view you as a product. How does this product work? You're the product. Is she happy? Does he demonstrate excellence? Are they on time? Do they look good? Do they speak well? Do they treat others well? All of it is monitored by how well you do your standards of excellence. Power of choice, power of optimism, power of service, power of excellence. And you know what all these things wrapped together do? It allows you to do the last thing that successful people do. Stephen Covey wrote a great book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the 7 habits of highly effective people was that they begin with the end in mind. They begin with the end in mind. Where do you want your life to end up? Where do you want your next 10 years to end up? Where do you want your next 25 years? Where do you want your life to end up? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember you for? I remember I heard once a baseball player, very well-known professional baseball player, not well liked by his teammates, so much so that one of his other teammates said that when this guy dies, they'll be able to hold his funeral in a phone booth. Not well liked. What kind of legacy? Do you want to leave a financial legacy? Then start working on it today. Do you want to leave a legacy of love? Then love today. Do you want to leave a legacy of success behind you? Then every single day, and I would even say, like the gentleman said on the video, every single phone call. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about next quarter. Think about this phone call. This is my purpose. This is my moment. This is my person who I can demonstrate my excellence, my service, my optimism. They may be unhappy, but I'm going to be happy. And when you choose that, you say to yourself, I'm not bound by the circumstances. I'm not bound by what's going on around me. I choose the kind of success that I'm going to have. And you know what happens when you wrap all those things together? You end up in Huntington Beach. You end up with your company saying, you know what, we recognize you. Give yourself a big round of applause. You end up with your company saying, we like you. We love what you do for us. We love what you do for the customer. We love how you treat people. We love how well you do. And with that, we're going to take you on this trip. We're going to take your spouse. We're going to let you have fun. We're going to bring in the goo-goo dolls. We'll do all sorts of great stuff for you guys because we love you and because we believe in you and because you are successful. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.